Lost Generation, welcome back, folks. What I want to talk to you today about is a result of the war on men that's been waged. And the war on men is just a very small part of the war on the family. The war on the family, the biggest part of that is the war on women. And most women don't even realize there's a war on women. But they are the ones that are targeted the most and the hardest and in the most insidious manner. But let's talk about the state of the average man today. So, the so-called men of the lost generation, the majority of them have dropped out altogether, or they're arrested development boys that are thinking like teenagers, but they're in their 20s. And when you hear this, most of you are going to know that it's true. Because most men have been stripped of purpose. They don't feel they have a purpose. And that is largely as a result of the war on the family. It is. Because the meaning of marriage has been stripped away. The meaning of family has been stripped away. And the government has stepped in to be daddy for a lot of families, and especially for a lot of women. And if the men ever find themselves in a court system, they're going to get absolutely savaged. So now that fewer and fewer have good wives, good families, children to provide for, and they're also told that providing for a woman or for a family is some sort of misogynist and chauvinist behavior, that you're stripping women of their independence by putting them in a traditional family format. They are losing purpose. As well as with a lot of these jobs. I mean, a lot of the jobs that are available to these men now of the lost generation, they really don't instill a sense of purpose. They just seem rather meaningless. And that's happening to everybody. It's happening to everybody in the lost generation, but it's contributing to the loss of purpose. When a man loses his purpose, you see him only care about killing his time, being entertained, and getting the new toys. Or maybe being popular, or trying to be cool, or how many females they can have sex with. And that becomes their purpose or their life's goal. More toys, more sexual encounters, whatever the case may be, more entertainment. And it's despicable that this has been done. And don't make no mistake about it, this is not happenstance, people. This has been done. This is planned. The destruction of the family unit. Family unit is the backbone to a strong society. It always has been. It always will be. And the people that are in control know that. So they target it. And the best way to target it is by brainwashing women and targeting women. And as the saying goes, first you get the women, then come the children, so follow the men. Which is absolutely true. And that's been proven out over decades and decades of this war being waged. So, what do we mean when we talk about arrested development? We talk about boys that never really become men. And there's a lot of reasons that's happening. And the main reason that I can see is there's a lack of actual men as role models. So, a lot of these kids are growing up with fathers that didn't know the value of living by principle or having your own code. They weren't really good examples of building and maintaining anything. They didn't really instill the values of accruing and building wealth and bringing value. They didn't really establish the value in being a rule setter, being strict, but stern, but also teaching and relaying values and skills. That's what a man's job is to his sons, especially, is to give them the values of a man so that they can become one. So with weak male role models, a lot of these people have become arrested development. And you'll see that in the cultural war where men are always depicted that way now. And it's doing a lot more damage than people credit it for. And I just cringe every time I see these people, these guys who have none of the values that we often talk about in the Lost Generation Project. And especially the talents, skills, and wealth values. Because without those folks, a boy is never going to successfully found a strong family. That is the case. It is the case. And then on top of that, you heap the fact that most women have been brainwashed into thinking that being a mother is some sort of restriction on their life, or it's a loss of face, or a loss of their freedom, or that it's not honorable to be, let's say, a stay-at-home mom. Being a stay-at-home mom, in my opinion, would be the most honorable thing a woman could be. But that's not the way it's seen, especially in the media and popular culture. And really, if you boil it all down, if you go back years and years and years, a man's only purpose, for the most part, has been to his family. There's exceptions to that rule. A man's purpose might be to his nation, for example, first. Or, in rare cases, to belief, but that's very, very rare now. But men need to have a purpose, and that's traditionally been being the provider and protector and problem solver of their family. And that's been taken away. So no purpose, no strong role models, popular culture telling them that they're weak and they're going to be weak and all men are weak, or something close to that. That's what's resulted in this arrested development. Now, on top of that, already terrible diagnosis, you sprinkle in a dash of distraction. There's so many distractions for these guys. Music, popular culture, the toys, the video games. And little piece of me dies every time I see a man in his 30s that's obsessed with comics and superheroes and video games. Because that's all well and good for entertainment, but that can't be your purpose. It just can't. If you make something like that your purpose as a man, you're never really going to have these values that we're talking about. And if you never really have those values, then you're probably not really going to know what it feels like to be a man. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if you go back to the old school cats, being a man was about fitting those roles into his family, the purpose to his family, and for, like I said, for some, fulfilling purpose to his nation or to his beliefs. And you're just being distracted with garbage. It's all that it is. And everyone needs a little bit of entertainment, but when you're wearing the shirts, you're going to the conventions, and that's all you can have a conversation about, it's a little bit more than just a little entertainment, folks. That's become your replacement purpose. And it's very sad. It's very sad. If I had to characterize my own purpose, or what I feel my own purpose is in this world, it's to try to educate and help people to the values I have And the values I have were inherited by my forefathers. And they are old school values, but they have been completely validated and refined by my life experiences. And I hope that this will get some of you guys thinking. And I've always been a big supporter of picking up skills, talents, hobbies, anything that can add value to your life. Knowing all the facts of a comic series doesn't really add much value to your life. Understanding skills and talents, let's just say, gardening, that adds value. Let's just say you fully understand different types of ore and how to smelt metals out of the ore and how to blacksmith and how to shape the metal. That adds value to your life. Even just having a lot of this knowledge adds value to your life. And that's why I'm always fascinated to learn new things. And, sometimes I'll get off on a tangent into chemistry and I'll just be studying that. Sometimes I'll get off into a tangent on metalworking and I'll study that. Sometimes I'll get off into a tangent on philosophy and I'll study that. That stuff to me adds value to my life. I don't watch sports ever. It's a waste of time. If I'm going to do something recreational or entertaining, it's at least going to be something that will help refine a skill. Like when I shoot skeet, at least that refines a skill. I like working on vehicles because I learn things and I refine skills. Everything that I do, my gardening, and I intentionally do things the hard way a lot. So a lot of my garden plots I've had over the past 10 years, I've tilled by hand just to remind myself how much work it is. And that we take for granted how easy and available food is. And you got to really get in touch with nature and how much work it takes just to grow that little bit of food. But I intentionally went through and learned a way that I could have a rotation throughout the growing season that would provide me with different fresh foods, but also how to take every single one of them back to seed. Because skills like that are becoming lost arts. So if you're a man and you want to get over this arrested development thing, focus on knowledge, wisdom, skills, talents, hobbies, things of that nature. That is the key. Turn off the TV. Don't listen to what they say about men on TV. Don't be afraid to get rejected by women, and don't fall in love with the first woman that comes your way. Be very cognizant of how dangerous marriage has become for men and how dangerous having kids with the wrong woman has become for men. You need to be smart about that stuff. This kind of a deep, heartfelt one, but the state of men in the lost generation is appalling. They're so flexible and pliable, and they don't really have well-formed beliefs. It's another thing that I've noticed. You gotta believe in something, and if you're particularly a man, your beliefs are going to be pretty rigid because you should trust yourself. You should trust yourself to have that opinion and how you form that opinion. And if you don't have the knowledge to have these beliefs and you don't have the research done to think they're well-founded, then how could you ever possibly debate your beliefs or expound your beliefs? And that right there is key to taking part in political discourse. So if you're missing out on all these avenues as a man, what are you actually accomplishing? I think a lot of you guys are just wasting your time, and you think that life is about the next big toy. And for some of you, that's apparently what's going on. And in the end, those toys mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're not going to take them with you. But you know what you can take with you? The knowledge that you lived your life by principle. The knowledge that you had your own beliefs. Not ones injected into your mind by other people, by the media. I could ramble on and on all night about this, but I hope I've given you enough to think about. Lost Generation. We're out.